agree with that, and thank you, Gulli. Meng, I have a question for you, if I may, from your very broad perspective that you have in your role as the Race Relations Commissioner. When you hear about all of these challenges, and of course they'll be intimately familiar to you in your day-to-day work, looking at the next few years ahead, how optimistic are you about the prospect of change in New Zealand? We've talked, so several speakers have talked about the difficulty of achieving change. Are there grounds for optimism, or do we have to kind of grind our way forward at a very slow pace?
Look, Chris, I'm forever an optimist. I wouldn't be in this job if I wasn't an optimist. I'm not here to be defeated. I don't want our country, our people to be defeated. I want them to be safe. And, you know, our parents and our forefathers, they came to this country with great hope. And I too have great hope for our country. Just going back on one of the other two things that have been mentioned, the voice of racism actually came from about 200 odd voices from people that actually had received abuse and racism that were hurtful. And if you listen to it, and that's what we need to do, is actually make people listen to it. And I'm systematically going around to organizations, ministries, to make sure that the chief executives actually give them time to actually listen to the voice of racism. And some people don't actually know that they've been saying these sort of things, because they've been saying them for hundreds of, many years. And in terms of the internet stuff, right, you know, the Bobby on the street, the policeman on the street back in the 70s and 80s, and even earlier, was a great deterrent to crime. So I was just thinking, you know, if someone actually posted hate crime or hate speech on the internet, why doesn't the government or the service provider says, right, we're going to close you up for 1 month. That is the punishment, right? And also a enforcement body to actually well, they know who the ISP address is of all these people. They go knock on the door and says, look, someone in your house is actually producing hate stuff in your household, and they need to stop it. Once they actually caught out, I'm sure that a lot of it will actually stop. It's only because people can get away with it at the present time, and they've not been caught out, and they've been coward, brave warriors in their own homes doing these sort of things. So there's some practical steps that if I had the power, I would do. But we'll continue to lobby with great optimism that hopefully more particularly our politicians will actually make the rules actually stronger. You know, in terms of the hate speech crime and the threshold itself. I mean, once upon a time, we used to burn women that were witches and chop people's heads off, beat people with whips and all that sort of stuff. Well, that doesn't happen now. Then as time goes on, there's actually less tolerance of that stuff. And I don't know why the thresholds aren't actually a little bit lower, or at least have an opportunity to actually provide some muscle and not wet bus ticket stuff to actually be a little bit more punitive and create a little bit of fear in people that actually create these sort of things.
As someone who studies persuasion, amongst other things, I do know that fear can work as an appeal, as a persuasive appeal. But I don't know, I wanted to ask you, if I may, given all